Yo, what's up, guys? So, we are live. What's up, guys? This is Joseph Thompson's World. If you have not already subscribed, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe to Joseph Thompson's World. Today's video is going to be all about City of Glass and the Shadowhunter series. So, you already know me. I'm the Shadowhunter guy, hashtag Shadowhunter guy. And this is part of my new series on YouTube where we talk about the Mortal Instruments and do some audio booking on all the books in the Mortal Instruments and the other Shadowhunter books. So, today we have City of Glass. I've been trying to make this video multiple times, and I just never really got around to it, but I figured now that everything, is kind of calmed down and quiet, I can get to this book, and we can start talking about City of Glass. So, one of the things I like about this book is the fact that it's Shadowhunters, which I love. It's the third book in the Shadowhunter series. I'm pretty far in it. I'm like 100, well, I guess not too far, but like 124 pages. I want to get to page like 200 today or maybe tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow, so I'll definitely have a lot of time to read this book. And also, I want to kind of recap a little bit on City of Ashes. Not the whole thing, but kind of how it ended, so we can get to this book. So, first of all, one of the things that happened in City of Ashes, the ending was, so they had this big battle. Basically, Valentine was on a ship, and Clary, Jace had come there to rescue, their friends. And so, one of the biggest things that happens is Valentine killed Simon with the Soul Sword. Jace had to use his blood to, take Simon back alive. Simon came back alive, and then Clary created a fearless rune and basically blew up Valentine's ship. And now we don't know where Valentine is, and we're back to City of Glass, and that's basically how City of Ashes ended. So when we get to City of Glass, we figure out that Clary is trying to go to Idris to wake up her mom. And so a lot of stuff happens. One of the first major things that happens is they're attacked as they're trying to go to a portal by this demon. And so they get into Alicante, and they realize that Dawn Wardles can't be in Alicante unless they're 18. So Simon is there illegally. And so a bunch of other stuff happens. And pretty much right now, we're in chapter... Oh my god, what chapter are we in? Chapter 6? If I can try to remember where we're all at. And so Valentine is still on the loose, but we have the new head inquisitor Aldertree, who comes to Order after Imogen died in the battle with Valentine on the boat. So Aldertree meets up with Simon and wants to know how he became a daylighter, which is a vampire who is not affected by the sunshine and can basically stay out all day and all day without being burned up alive. So Aldertree has an interview with Simon, and Simon is skeptical about telling Aldertree how he became a vampire because he doesn't want to get Jace in trouble or any of the other friends in trouble. And so he gets locked away in this cell, and there's this mysterious person that keeps talking to him. But what drove me crazy, I was reading it last night, I was like, why won't they tell? And why don't they tell him the rest of the book? But when he's in the cell, we never figure out who's actually talking to him. We never figure out what the other voice was. My cat is driving me crazy. He's at the window right now. How the fuck did he get up there? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, that's where we're at right now. So, I got a little bit further into Chapter 6. I'm not starting over on Chapter 6. I was going to wait to do Chapter 7, but I was like, no, we can just kind of do just a middle thing. So, basically, what we learn is Simon has just got out of the cell, and he's back with his friends, and things are happening. So, I, myself, am going to start from page 120, let's see, where were we at? 125, and just go ahead and read the rest of chapter 6, kind of get into chapter 7, see how much time we got. And that's what we want to do. Alright, so City of Glass, third book in the Mortal Instruments series. let's dive into chapter 6. Okay, so like I said, we're on page 125, and we're about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're about 13 pages away from chapter 7, which is on page, if I can get to it, like 149, which is actually pretty damn good. Alright, so we're going to start on like the second paragraph of 125, and just start from there. All her plans evaporated. Her half-formed hopes of rushing after Phil, saving her mother, even finding loot. Nothing matters. No words came. She crossed the door. Alec and Isabel moved to let her pass. Neither of them would look at her. They looked away instead, their expressions shocked and embarrassed. Clary knew she probably ought to feel humiliated as well as angry, but she didn't. She just felt dead inside. She turned at the door and looked back. Jace was staring after her. The light that streamed through the window behind him left his face in shadow. All she could see was his bright bits of sunshine that dusted his fair hair, like shards of broken glass. When you told me the first time that Valentine was your father, I didn't believe it, he said. Not just because I didn't want it to be true, but because you weren't anything like him. I've never thought you were anything like him, but you are. You are. She went out of the room, shutting the door behind her. They're going to starve me, Simon said. He was lying on the floor of his cell, the stone cold under his back. So, he was let out of his cell potentially, but he still mouthed out to the Inquisitor, and now he still won't tell the truth to Aldertree about how he became a vampire. So Aldertree basically told him to stay in the cell until he can finally confess that he is a vampire. He was lying on the floor of his cell, with stone cold under his back. From this angle, though, he could see the sky through the window. In the days after Simon had become first a vampire, when he had thought he would never see daylight again, he found himself incessantly about the sun in the sky, about the ways the color of the sky changed during the day, about the pale sky of morning, the hot blue of midday, and the cobalt darkness of twilight. He'd lain awake in the darkness with a parade of blue marching through his brain. Now, flat on his back in the cell under the guard, he wondered if he'd had daylight, and all its blue restored to him, just so that he could spend the short, unpleasant rest of his life in this tiny space with only a patch of sky visible through the single barred window in the wall. Did you hear what I said? He raised his voice. The Inquisitor's going to starve me to death. No more blood. There was a rustling noise, an audible sigh. Then Samuel spoke. I heard you. I just don't know what you want me to do about it, he paused. I'm sorry for you, Daylighter, if that helps. Oh my god. You know what I just realized? I am so stupid. How could I forget this one detail? Okay, so the voice that is actually speaking to Simon is a guy named Samuel. I had this video all messed up. I'm so sorry. I thought they never said his name, but I fell asleep last night and I was like really tired, so I didn't have any time to do much reviewing after I came off work. I did a little bit, but not much. So the guy talking to him is actually Samuel, which is another I guess he's a shadowhunter because he's not a downworlder, and he's locked up in there for basically being a part of like Valentine's War back then. Anyway, there's more to that. I heard you. I just don't know what you want me to do about it, he paused. I'm sorry for you, Daylight, if that helps. It doesn't really, Simon said. The Inquisitor wants me to lie. Wants me to tell him that the Lightwoods are in league with Valentine. Then he'll send me home. He rolled over onto his stomach, the stones jabbing into his skin. Never mind. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Samuel made a noise halfway between a chuckle and a cough. Actually, I do. I knew the Lightwoods. We were in the circle together. The Lightwoods, the Whalens, the Pangborns, the Harrendales, the Penhollows. All the fine families of Alicante. And Hodge Starkweather, Simon said, thinking of the Lightwood's tutor. He was too, wasn't he? He was, said Samuel, but his family was hardly a well-respected one. Hodge showed some promise once, but I fear he never lived up to it. He paused. Aldertree's always hated the Lightwoods, of course, since we were children. He wasn't rich or clever or attractive, and, well, they weren't very kind to him. I don't think he's ever gotten over it. Rich, Simon said. I thought all Shadowhunters got paid by the clave, like, I don't know, communism or something? In theory, all Shadowhunters are fairly and equally paid, said Samuel. Some, like those with high positions in the clave, or those with great responsibility, running an institute, for example, receive a higher salary. Then there are those who live outside Idris and choose to make money in the mundane world. It's not forbidden as long as they tithe a part of it to the clave. But, Samuel hesitated, You saw the Penhollow's house, didn't you? What do you think of it? Simon cast his mind back. Very fancy. It's one of the finest houses in Alicante, said Samuel. And they have another house, a manor out in the country. Almost all the rich families do. You see, there's another way for Nephilim to gain wealth. They call it spoils. Anything owned by a demon or downwarder who is killed by a shadowhunter becomes that shadowhunter's property. So if a wealthy warlock breaks the law and is killed by Nephilim, Simon shivered. So killing downwarders is a lucrative business? It can be, said Samuel bitterly, if you're not too choosy about who you kill. You can see why there's so much opposition to the Accords. It cuts into people's pocketbooks, having to be careful about murdering downwarders. Perhaps that's why I joined the circle. My family was never a rich one, and to be looked down on for not accepting blood money, he broke off. But the circle murdered downwarders too, said Simon. Because they thought it was their sacred duty, said Samuel, not out of greed, though I can't imagine now why I ever thought that mattered. He sounded exhausted. It was Valentine. He had a way about him. He could convince you of anything. I remember standing beside him with my hands covered in blood, looking down at the body of a dead woman and thinking only that what I was doing had to be right because Valentine said it was so. A dead downworlder? Simon breathed raggedly on the other side of the wall. At last he said, You must understand, I would have done anything he asked. Any of us would have. The Lightwoods as well. The Inquisitor knows that, and this is what he is trying to exploit. But you should know, that's the chance that if you give in to him and throw blame on the Lightwoods, he'll kill you anyway to shut you up. It depends on whether the idea of being merciful makes him powerful at the time. It doesn't matter, Simon said. I'm going to do it. I won't betray the Lightwoods. Really? Samuel sounded unconvinced. There's some reason why not. Do you care for the Lightwoods that much? Anything I told him about them would be a lie. But it might be the lie he wants to hear. You do want to go home, don't you? Simon stared at the wall as if he could somehow see through it to the man on the other side. Is that what you do? Lie to him? Samuel coughed. A wheezy sort of cough as if he weren't very healthy. Then again it was damp and cold down here, which didn't bother Simon, but would probably bother a normal human being very much. I wouldn't take moral advice from me, he said, but yes, I probably would. I've always put saving my own skin first. I'm sure that's not true. Actually, said Simon, it is. One thing you'll learn as you get older, Simon, is that when people tell you something unpleasant about themselves, it's usually true. But I'm not going to get older, Simon thought. Out loud, he said. That's the first time you've called me Simon, and not Daylighter. I suppose it is. And as for the Lightwood, Simon said, it's not that I like them much. I mean, I like Isabel, and I sort of like Alec and Jace too. But there's this girl, and Jace is her brother. And as Amy replied, he sounded for the first time genuinely amazed. Isn't there always a girl? The moment the door shut behind Clary, Jace slumped back against the wall as if his legs had been cut out from under him. He looked gray with a mixture of horror, shock, and what looked almost like relief, as if a catastrophe had been narrowly avoided. Jace, Alec said, taking a step toward his friend. Do you really think? Jace spoke in a low voice, cutting Alec off. Get out, he said. Just get out, both of you. So you can do what? Isabel demanded. Wreck your life somewhere? What the hell was that about? Jace shook his head. I sent her home. It was the best thing for her. You did a hell of a lot more than send her home. You destroyed her. Did you see her face? It was worth it, said Jace. You wouldn't understand. For her, Maggie, Isabel said. I hope it winds up with both of you. I hope it winds up worth it for you. Jace turned his face away. Just leave me alone, Isabel, please. Isabel cast a startled look toward her brother. Jace never said please. Alec put a hand on his shoulder. Never mind, Jace, he said as kindly as he could. I'm sure she'll be fine. Jace raised his head and looked at Alec without actually looking at him. He seemed to be strung off at nothing. No, she won't, he said, but I knew that. Speaking of which, you might as well tell me what you came in here to tell me. You seemed to think it was pretty important at the time. Alec took his hand off Isabel's shoulder. I didn't want to tell you in front of Clary. Jace's eyes finally focused on Alec. Didn't want to tell me what in front of Clary? Alec hesitated. He'd rarely seen Jace so upset, and he could only imagine what effect further unpleasant surprises might have on him. There was no way to hide this. Jace had to know. Yesterday, he said in a low voice, when I brought Simon up to the guard, Malachi told me Magnus Bane would be meeting Simon at the other end of the portal in New York. So I sent a fire message to Magnus. I heard back from him this morning. He never met Simon in New York. In fact, he says there's been no portal activity in New York since Clary came through. Maybe Malachi was wrong, Isabel suggested after a quick look at Jace's ashen face. Maybe someone else met Simon on the other side, and Magnus could be wrong about the portal activity. Alex shook his head. I went up to the guard this morning with Mom. I meant to ask Malachi about it myself, but then I saw him. I can't see why. I ducked behind a corner. I couldn't face him. Then I heard him talking to one of the guards, telling them to go bring the vampire upstairs because the Inquisitor wanted to speak to him again. Are you sure they meant Simon? Isabel asked, but there was no conviction in her voice. Maybe. They were talking about how stupid the Downwarders had been to believe that they just sent him back to New York without questioning him. One of them said that he couldn't believe anyone had had the gall to try to sneak him into Alicante to begin with. And Malachi said, "Well, what do you expect from Valentine's son?" "Oh," Isabel whispered. "Oh my God." She glanced around the room. Jace. Jace's hands were clenched at his side. His eyes looked sunken as if they were pushing back into his skull. In other circumstances, Alec would have put a hand on his shoulder, but not now. Something about Jace made him hold back. If it hadn't been me who brought him, though, through, Jace said in a low, measured voice as if he were reciting something, maybe they would just have to let him go home. Maybe they would have believed. "No," Alex said. "No, Jace, it's not your fault. You saved his life." "Saved him so Clave could torture him," said Jace. "Some favor. When Clary finds out," he shook his head blandly, "she'll think I brought him here on purpose. Gave him to the Clay without knowing what they'd do. She won't think that. You'd have no reason to do a thing like that." "Perhaps," Jace said slowly, "but after how I treated her." "No one could ever think you do that, Jace," said Isabel. No one who knows you. No one." But Jace didn't want to find out what else no one ever But Jace didn't wait to find out what else no one would ever think. Instead, he turned around and walked over to the picture window that looked over the canal. He stood there for a moment, the light coming through the window, turning the edges of his hair to gold. Then he moved so quickly, Alec didn't have time to react. By the time he saw what was going to happen and darted forward to prevent it, it was already too late. There was a crash, the sound of shattering, and a sudden spray of broken glass like a shower of jagged stars. Jace looked down at his left hand, his knuckles streaked with scarlet, with a clinical interest at the fat red drops of blood collected and splattered down onto the floor at his feet. Isabel stared from Jace to the hole in the glass, lines radiating out from an empty center, a spiderweb of thin silver cracks. "Oh, Jace," she said, her voice as soft as Alec had ever heard it. "How on earth are we going to explain this to the Pinhollows?" Alright, thank you guys for watching. That's all the time I have today. I do have to go get a few more things done today. I hope you enjoyed the video. And there are more coming up from City of Glass. If you haven't read this book, I would highly recommend it. Go read City of Glass. It is so good. I hope you guys are having a great day. Please go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, and push that notification bell so you get all of my videos, plus my Shadowhunter videos. And once again, this has been the Shadowhunter Guide. Thanks for watching.